Hey, fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. I'm Michael Pachter. I'm doing this on my own. I don't work for anybody that cares, so don't worry about that. Hope you are watching as a Patreon patron. If so, thank you for your patronage. We appreciate that you guys are supporting us. It keeps Shane in enough cash to be able to gas up his car, come to my house, and film these things. If you are a Twitch Prime user, Amazon Prime member, you can link your Twitch Prime account to your Amazon Prime account. The instructions on how to do that are in the show description. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can support us on YouTube. All of those methods allow you to see these episodes a week early, right when we put them up. Otherwise, you have to wait to watch on YouTube. And if you can't afford it, or you just don't find any value in this, stop watching. If you don't find any value in it, then just follow me on Twitter at Michael Pachter. From YouTube, from Marcus Eilers. Saudi Arabia has set aside $13 billion to purchase a major video game publisher. Which publisher is the most likely target and why? Once Saudi Arabia buys the publisher, will it force it to alter its content due to political or religious conflicts? If so, could this lead to a brain drain? What other consequences might there be? All right, look, I don't understand the very specific number, 13 billion. I know that was what the Saudis said. If you look at kind of the valuation for Take-Two, it's already something like 17 or 20 billion. It's up there. Ubisoft is much smaller. I mean, its stock's gotten crushed, but it's probably 3 or 4. So it looks like it's neither of them. EA is 30, so much higher. They can't obviously count it for Activision, which was like 70. Who's left? I mean, are they talking Playtika? Maybe. I don't think so. Is that a major publisher? I don't think so. Are they talking Valve and the Steam service? Maybe. That's probably about the right number, by the way. But I don't think so. Are they talking, Square Enix? I don't even know what they're worth. Bandai Namco? I don't know what they're worth either. Who's left there? Square Enix, Bandai Namco. Sega? Sammy? I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know. Embracer? Yeah. Capcom? I don't know. So the specificity of the number is what throws me off. Now, if they're saying we're going to spend $13 billion and we're going to buy Warner Interactive and Ubisoft and some smaller publisher, that actually would be smart. I think that would be good. But I don't know what they're targeting, and honestly, I don't even know why they want to be in the business. To answer your question, will they force them to alter the content? That's been their practice prior, but the Saudi censorship of content tends to apply only to Muslim countries, and so they certainly would alter the content in Saudi, in Saudi Arabia and in the Arab Muslim dominant countries. I actually don't know the answer about whether that content's already modified in those regions. Like, I think it is. And I remember, it's been 15 years since anybody told me this, but I remember, like, Germany, for example, had a law about red blood. Like, for some reason, blood couldn't be red in a game, so blood was green. And I don't even remember what game it was, but the blood had to be green. It couldn't be red. I do not understand why, but anyway, the games were modified so that when people bled, it looked different. China has a rule about showing dead bodies and skeletons, and again, I don't exactly know why, but notice like games like Super Mario Brothers, when Mario butt stomps something, anything, a mushroom, whatever, they just kind of evaporate. Or when you shoot somebody down, they kind of sparkle and disappear. So I don't know that it would really impact gameplay that much if they did it only in Muslim dominant countries. And then they might do it now. I haven't ever played a game in the Middle East, so I'm not really sure if it's changed when you're there. Would they do it globally? Probably not. It's just it would diminish the appeal of the game, and I think that the church-led governments like Iran and Saudi, they think we're mongrel dogs anyway, so they don't really care if they corrupt our minds. So I doubt it. But honestly, I don't think 13 billion is enough to buy anybody big. And I think more likely they announced it to make a lot of noise, and they'll make a small acquisition. As I said, I don't think anybody's particularly for sale at that price. Take-Two's worth more. EA's worth more. Ubi's worth less, but they just signed a deal with Tencent, and they're really probably not for sale. So, don't know. And as I said, the political and religious conflicts would only happen in areas where the Saudis have jurisdiction. So within Saudi Arabia for sure, but I think it might already be the case. I don't see any risk of a brain drain. I don't see any meaningful consequence from the Saudis being in the business. My attitude is more money in the system is good. And it's sort of like the LIV Golf Tour, which stands for 54. 54 hole tournaments instead of 72. It's competing with PGA. They're paying up, for big name golfers. And, there's a lot. I'm not a golfer, so I don't really care about golf at all. But there's a lot of angst among the golf community that, oh my God, it's diminishing, PGA sponsored events. And I'm like, wow, these guys are really super talented athletes. And if there's two people bidding for their skills instead of one, that's good. And if there's a bigger prize pool for their talent, then they make more money. And that's healthy for everybody. So I think better to have more opportunities for game developers to have money thrown into the system. More people funding game development is good for everybody. Not a brain drain. I mean, it's just more money thrown at games equals higher pay for game developers and better quality games. And you're going to attract better people if you pay more. So I actually think it's the opposite. I think it's a brain drain for every other industry that uses skills that are similar to game development skills. And to be honest, I think when you start seeing, stuff like Unity and, their acquisition of Weta and the ability to use game development tools to make CGI and to make, deep fakes and realistic looking animation, I just think the games industry is about to get more exciting, not less. So I'm pretty psyched that the Saudis recognize this is real. To be honest with you, I think this might be a precursor to a massive wave of investment in the metaverse. I think the Saudis are probably thinking about games more that way, more VR and metaverse type stuff. And again, I couldn't even tell you who's out there for $13 billion, but there's no VR player. I mean, Oculus was 2.5 or something. There's nobody out there that's that big yet. But they're probably not thinking about making one acquisition. It's probably a series. And again, just the fund happened to be $13 billion.
Let's say Saudi Arabia buys Ubisoft.
Yeah.
And the people who have been making Assassin's Creed for the last 20 years, suddenly Saudi Arabia is saying to them, you know what? You need to cut out all the assassinations, any of the throat slicing needs to be removed, all this stuff needs to be... You don't think people are going to leave Ubisoft?
Sure.
That's brain drain.
And somebody
that's
else...
the definition of brain drain.
But that's... You're imposing a condition on it.
That's what he's asking in his question.
Yeah, that won't happen.
People won't leave Ubisoft if they come in and tell them how to make their games?
They're not going to tell them... They're not going to buy Ubisoft if they can't make Assassin's Creed. Right, that's right. You're not going to buy Ubisoft, whose best property is Assassin's Creed, and then tell them they can't make Assassin's Creed anymore. What's the point of buying them?
No, that's the point of this question.
He's wrong. They won't do that.
So that's what you need to make clear, is that Saudi Arabia, no matter what, is not going to tell people how to make the art.
Well, they will if they buy a game that they don't believe in, but they won't buy that game because why would you do that? That's like saying we're going to buy Activision and we don't believe in military shooters, so Activision can't make them anymore.
Nobody makes games for Muslims, Pachter. Who are they going to buy? There's no Muslim publisher that makes sure everything they make is kosher for Muslims.
There's tons of Muslim publishers.
Every publisher makes games all across the spectrum.
Peak Games is a Muslim publisher.
That's not what we're talking about
Toon
here.
Blast and Toy Blast. Well, I don't know, because I don't know what the Saudis are thinking.
They have $13 billion. They're not buying some little podunk operation.
And I said I think that they will keep the games the same outside of the Middle East, outside of Muslim-dominant countries. Video games, I'm going to play them if they're owned by the Saudis or not. If the Saudis exercise artistic control, yes. but they will fail miserably. If they exercise artistic control, what's the point of buying a major publisher? Buy one. Great. If everybody quits, then you didn't get any value for it. This is the real analogy. Elon Musk buying Twitter. If he changes things dramatically and says, everybody who on Twitter has to own a Tesla and has to kiss my ass, we'll just all quit Twitter. And that was kind of Trump with Truth Social, that Twitter banned me, therefore I'm going to go on Truth Social, and the people who want to see what I have to say are there. If Musk isn't on Twitter, we'll all leave, and Twitter will fail. But he's spending $44 billion, so is he going to fuck it up? I don't think so. I think the small change he will make is he'll probably let Trump back on. I don't care. I think it'll be more fun to bash Trump when he's on. I mean, I think people will make sport of that, and Trump will cry. He can't block everybody on Twitter. Anyway, I don't expect the Saudis to materially exercise artistic control. I do expect them to say, let's tone down the violence in Muslim-dominated countries, but they might be doing that right now anyway. The thing about Netflix and having to take out, some Muslim special or something couldn't broadcast in Saudi Arabia, and people were mad at Netflix. It's like, come on, if the law says you can't show that, then you can't show that. And that's why I brought up the German game law, which I don't even know if it's still a law, that you couldn't show red blood. Like, if that's what the law says, you comply. Period. I mean, Netflix and video games don't have any obligation to allow... But
you don't. There's a lot of companies that won't make games for China because of China's restrictions.
No, exactly.
So you can't assume that people are just going to be like, sure, you can fuck with my art. Well, some people aren't cool with that.
No, I said only in Saudi Arabia. That's fine. You're right. Some people won't work for them. That's fine. That's fine. I won't drive a Tesla. All right. Thanks for joining us on Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. If you're a Patreon patron or you are supporting us as a YouTube subscriber, thank you so much for your patronage. If you are not doing either of those things and you're a Prime member, please remember to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. The instructions are in the show description. And if you're doing none of those things, we're getting no money from you. You are a burden on our existence. You're getting this a week late, but I insist, since I don't get paid, that you guys get it for free too, at a minimum. Follow me on Twitter. You can read my post today. I have 672 candy bars, full-size candy bars for Halloween. I'm going to be that house. You should be that house too. If you can't afford to support Sifted or Pachter Factor, buy full-size candy bars and give them out to kids for Halloween, because they'll remember, and it's a cool thing. It's a cool thing growing up. Getting a full-size candy bar makes kids very happy. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.